And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 4, episode 32. Officially here in the stretch run, we have the first regional rankings, the alphabetical ranking coming out this Tuesday. And gosh, we're recording here on Sunday with all kind of big games already having happened today. But I'm really excited to stay in my homeland here in Texas. And I'm in Dallas, but we're going to zoom down here to San Antonio, Texas, which if I got in the car would be about 5 hours to talk to Jimmy Smith, the head coach of the 20-1 Trinity of Texas Tigers down there in San Antonio. Jimmy, it was great to meet you about a week and a half ago up here in Dallas. How the heck are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah. Been a surreal year. Obviously, just, the success we've had has been a lot of fun with a lot of really good young men on the team. So just trying to enjoy every minute of it without getting too stressed out with, day-to-day game preparation and all that kind of stuff.
Well, let's talk about that because it is a stressful time of year for coaches, players, fans, parents. I just think of like where you guys are right now in the conference. You're sitting there in a great place at 11-1. You've got St. Thomas at 8-3. I believe they're playing a game as we speak.
They are,
Uh,
yeah.
hey, do you have a score for us? Do you have any kind of live look in on that score?
58-56, Colorado College with 8:54 to go. So it's gonna be a barn burner.
We will see if we can get continued updates as we tape the QCast here. So yeah, you're two up on St. Thomas, Centenary 7-5. I think your stretch though, coach, is a tough one, right? You're at Schreiner versus Colorado College at St. Thomas, and they already beat you. So
Yep.
a sweep there would be a tiebreaker. And then at Centenary. So, talking a little bit about stressful times of the year, like this is what it's all about, and you're in the middle of it, right?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, we have outside of us, the next four teams in the standings are the teams we're about to play.
Right.
Uh all really good teams and talented. So we know we have our work cut out for us, but looking forward to it.
So let's talk a little bit about your team here. You're sitting here 20-1 and 11-1 in the league, as we just mentioned. When we came into the season this year, I'm just curious what you thought you had, because I mean 21 is pretty ridiculous. What did you think you have coming into this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting evolution. For me, this is year four. So year one was the COVID year, which, we got 12 games in and so every year's been a little bit different. And we lost a lot of guys that had been really important for us the 3 years prior. Graduated 5 seniors, all who played and were
Right.
big contributors for a significant amount of time. So, we knew we had guys returning that we really liked. We thought we had done really well in recruiting with this freshman class, but you never know, what that's going to look like until the guys get on campus and see how it all meshes. And we've been fortunate that our returners have been really good for us, and then we have a freshman class that's just really come in and contributed, quicker than we thought. And so things have just really gone well for us, and it's been fun to just see it all kind of to merge.
Yeah, you mentioned you're at the fourth year at Trinity, and we'll talk about your background in just a second. You've got a lot of stops and a lot of unbelievable experience at different levels. Trinity is a program that's had success in the past, a lot of success. I can't remember all the years they bleed together now. I remember when Coach Cunningham had things rolling down there in the, I don't know, 2005-ish, 6-ish, somewhere in there, somewhere in that period of time. Like, so it's a program that's been good. When you took it over, kind of what was the game plan in terms of what you were trying to build down there and how you were going to go about doing it?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Cunningham was kind of a mentor to me, through the years, and being in the league at some different schools, and just they were the bar. They had set the bar of what a program that was competing at a national level looked like. And so they had a couple years towards the end where things didn't go their way, and for me it was just about trying to start building towards getting the program back, and then hopefully a little bit further. That team you referenced made the Elite Eight and lost a really good close game, I think, to Stevens Point, who I
Yeah.
want to ended up winning it that year. Um, and so that's the goal is to, we all know how hard it is to win this thing, but just to get yourself in the tournament and have chances to advance is where we wanted to get to. So not the ideal start coming in with COVID and protocols and not a real season, but we were able to, I think, set the groundwork for what we wanted to do and who we were going to be in that year. And, we've been able to build from there. So, fortunate to get the job. And the reason I was so interested in it was I feel like this is one of those schools where you can compete year in, year out to get into the tournament and then, see what happens once you get there. But I've always thought of Trinity like that, competing against them as a player and a coach. And I was right. This is a great place to work. And, it's a phenomenal institution.
It's a great point. There are some places where you're just set up to be able to compete at the national level a little better than other places. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And Trinity is just a great school and a great location in a great state, obviously, where you've got a lot of talent and you guys can recruit from a lot of different places, obviously. Wanted to talk about your background first, starting with the fact that you were a really good player at Mary Hardin Baylor. You were the male athlete of the year in 2004. You were the defensive player of the year, 4-year letterman for the Crusaders. Talk a little bit about your D3 as a student athlete experience.
Yeah, I think I had some friends that were on the committee that make that choice for male athlete of the year. I'm not sure I deserve that one, but no, grew up not too far from where you're at. Grew up in Arlington, Texas, and
Sure.
went to Martin High School and was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And at that time, Division III was pretty new in the state of Texas. Mary Hardin Baylor and a bunch of schools were transitioning from NAIA to
Right.
Division III, and didn't know a whole lot about it, but I actually went and watched them play at the University of Dallas where we spoke and thought like, you know what, this is a place where I feel like I have a chance to compete. And I really like what Coach DeWeese was doing. And so ended up making the decision to go there, which was an awesome one. And it's just kind of paved the way for where I'm at today, just from playing there. And I went from there as a GA at Sam Houston State and actually got out of coaching for a little while. And I just couldn't be more thankful for the opportunities I had, like being a Division III player and the friendships that I still have from it. So there's a lot that people don't understand about the level and even in Texas Division III, like what it is.
Right.
So it's been fun to just see the evolution and be, a small part of that through the years.
One of my favorite moments of the year, I always like throughout the year see things and always refer to like, oh, this will be on the one shining moment montage for D3 hoops. Like one of them was like some cheerleader in Pennsylvania like gets the ball off the wedge.
I saw that one. Yeah.
That was great. But another one was when Clif Carroll shows up at your gym wearing your jersey.
Yeah.
He's wearing a number 35 for the Crusaders playing against you guys in November. Did you know that Clif was going to roll in wearing your jersey, or what was the moment like when you first realized what was going on?
I did not. Was just catching up with him like right before the game, and he said, "Hey, I brought this jersey. I'm planning on wearing it. I figured you'd be okay with it, but wanted to check first." Like, absolutely, go for it. So, and it actually worked out really well because our like video crew here had found a tape from when I played against Trinity in like 2003 or 2004.
Wow.
So they had the highlights as well. And so people thought it was a coordinated thing, but it wasn't. It just kind of all worked out at the same time. But yeah, it definitely was funny.
That was yeah. I remember tuning that game and I was like, what in the world's going on?
I know, like our parents don't really, understand everything. And they thought that maybe they had like something happened to someone, a player or something, that he was wearing their jersey. That was me. They're good.
It was really funny. You mentioned, playing at Mary Hardin Baylor. Some of your stops along the way, if I've got these in the right order, is you were an assistant at Mary Hardin Baylor. You were the head coach at Schreiner. You were the head coach at Texas Lutheran. You were an assistant at Division I Sam Houston State. You were the head coach at Millsaps before getting to Trinity. Do I have the stops at least close? Am I in the ballpark?
You nailed it. Absolutely.
What that's, I mean, just tremendous resume and so much experience that, without asking you for takeaways from all the stops there, but to have that much experience at so many different places, Jimmy, like that's got to be something that you lean on as you now kind of, are in your fourth year here at Trinity.
Absolutely. You gain, something different from every stop, and every school is different, and you have to figure out how to recruit there, and the type of kids are different, and how to coach them, and so I think it's been. I'm feeling old now, but like relatively in the business, being 41 and having the experiences that I've had at these different places, I think has helped me a lot. And being able to coach this team and this program, and figuring out like you can't do things the same way all the time. You got to be versatile and figure out how to get the best out of each group. And so I do think those experiences have helped me a ton, because it's funny, being in San Antonio, we have a lot of guys that, like my assistant played for me at Texas Lutheran, Sterling Holmes, who was a really good player. And a lot of guys will come back and watch us, and they're like, man, you're so easy on these guys compared to what you were to us. And, so it's funny to see other people's viewpoints of how you're coaching, and, what you're doing compared to then. But I'm fortunate for the experiences. I learned a ton, gave me the clarity about what I wanted to do, and really what level I wanted to be at. And I think all of that stuff's important. You don't really know what you want until you kind of get into it and get some experiences. So people joke about, am I trying to coach at every school in the SCAC, which I guess we're leaving, so I'm not gonna be able to do that. But it's been a fun ride for sure.
Want to talk about, a few of your guys here a little bit. And, I first have to talk about this freshman kid who's just unbelievable. I was really looking forward to being able to see you guys play in person, just to get a sense of, as a voter, to get a sense of how good you guys were in person, and also to see Christian Green.
Mhm.
I mean, what he's doing, Jimmy, it's really unique. I mean, he's a 6'6" freshman. I think on the roster, you guys call him a guard slash forward.
Yeah.
He can, I don't know. He's somewhere between a 3 and a 4. I don't know what you call him. He's just sort of a great basketball player. I don't know what his position is. He averages 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He's shooting .537 from the field, which is incredible. I first got to ask you, like, to me, he seems like a D1 guy that's playing in D3. How did you land Christian Green? Like, who else was on him, and how did this work out?
Yeah, Christian, he comes from a really unique background, and he had some things happen to him throughout his high school career that were not, easy things to deal with, that he's had to persevere through. And so because of that, like without just digging completely into his story,
Sure.
like he just kind of fell under the radar.
Wow.
He got ruled ineligible by the UIL for saying he was transferring for, athletic reasons, which he was not. And so he just kind of, like, he is listed on the rosters from San Antonio, but he did not play actually high school basketball his senior year in San Antonio. The
Wow.
UIL ruled him ineligible, and just a great kid, a great student, and really just fortunate. I mean, I can't say that I did this amazing recruiting job to get him just through someone I knew. It's like, hey, there's this guy out there, and we developed a relationship, and he is unique in the fact that, like you said, he could play a ton of different places,
Yeah.
but he values the education that Trinity has to offer. He valued, the atmosphere that we have, and that's how we ended up getting him. So it's he played on some pretty high level teams, in AAU in high school, and was more of like a defensive stopper, that type of guy, because playing with like high major type players, he wasn't the offensive focus. And
Right.
so I think that's been the thing for us that we didn't know. We didn't know that he was as versatile and could score like he can. We knew he was going to be able to defend and rebound and had guard skills, but just to see him be able to do a little bit of everything is definitely kind of, it's been a fun surprise for us. We just weren't quite sure.
Yeah. I mean, this year, Zach Snyder started the hashtag D3 dunks thing. And
Yeah.
I got to say, he's got to be one of the leaders in D3 dunks, because he is a highlight film. And, he's so unique in that, like that game at U Dallas that I was there for, they couldn't really stop him in the low post. He would play back to the basket, and he just kind of fights his way down there, right? And he's so athletic, and he can get up higher than everybody, and he's such a great rebounder. To think where he is as a freshman, it's got to be pretty exciting to think where the ceiling. I don't even know if we can see the ceiling at this point, right? Jimmy is like, this kid is going to be pretty special.
Absolutely. I mean, the fun thing about him is he's in the gym a lot. He's working on his jump shot and 3-point shot, and he can make those. He can do those things, and he's just figuring it out. Like he hadn't played in a while, and so just every
Right.
game practice he's getting better, and he really has the will to improve. And I think, like you mentioned, he's has a bunch of assists, and he does a lot of different
Yeah.
things outside of just scoring the ball or getting rebounds. So we're just excited for him, and he's really blended well with our group. The guys love him, he loves them, and um, he's definitely unique. And there's some dunks that people haven't even seen. But the funny part for me is we're playing in that UMHB game, and Jacob Harvey throws one off the glass that he dunks, and you would think that we do that. We've never attempted that in practice. We've never done it. Like, the ball goes off the back. Where I'm like, what are we doing? So we're finally figuring out how to throw some alley oops and stuff to him. But that was the first time we've ever even attempted that.
I would have
So
guessed you
it
did it all
worked.
the time in practice. That's what I
Yeah,
thought when I saw it.
it was not. It was not. So I'm glad it was successful at that time in the game.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And he has a lot of talent around him. I can't remember how many spots I moved you up on my ballot after seeing you in person, but it may have been like 8 or 9 or 10, to where I think the one I just turned in, I have you like 6 or something.
Yeah.
But he's a great player, but there's a lot of great players on your team. You've got some guys that knock down threes. Jacob Harvey is a 5'11" junior guard, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He is shooting .399 from three, which is great, and he's made 59 of them. Talk a little bit about Jacob Harvey.
Yeah, Jacob can really shoot the ball. I think when we were out in Vegas at the D3 Invitational, I believe he hit 9 against Pomona
Wow.
Pittsburgh. And he's been, a staple for us. He led the league in 3-point percentage as a freshman. Led his team to the state championship in 4A here in Texas as a senior. And just a tremendous worker. He's really improved his game off the dribble and being able to get to the basket. And just a great leader. So he's I think he was second team all conference last year, and he'll either be, I would think, first or second team this year as a junior. And just he's real steady. He's going to be
Right.
in the places, do the right things. He's a great leader, and he's one of those guys. Whenever he shoots it, I think it's going in.
Yeah, he's a great compliment to what you have in Christian Green, because they're so different. Like he is so steady, and he's a knockdown shooter. Another guy I wanted to ask you about is Tanner Brown, who's a 6'3" senior guard. He's averaging 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He's also a really good 3-point shooter, shooting 39% from three. He's made 36 of them on the year. Talk a little bit about Tanner Brown, if you would.
Yeah, Tanner was one of those guys in the first recruiting class for me, which these guys are seniors now this year. And I mean, he has just been such a big part of what we're doing. All 3 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, he's been second team all conference. And really he's a first team caliber player. We just had some guys, that were a little bit older that, ended up getting those accolades. But he does everything for us. He's a really good rebounder from the guard spot, like you mentioned. He's really good at attacking the basket and finishing. He's got some craftiness to him as a lefty. And like you said, he can really knock down the three. He actually got sick right when we got back from Vegas. So he scored, I want to say 32 against Schreiner. He went like 12 for 13 from the field, 7 for 7 from three. And then the next day we find out he's sick. And so we missed him for at Colorado, St. Thomas at home, Centenary at home. We didn't have Tanner. So he's kind of working his way back from being out for a while. But I mean, he again, same as Jacob, just so steady for us, great leadership. When he shoots it, you feel like it's going in. And he's just been a huge part of everything we've done since I've gotten here. And I'm sad we're not going to have him anymore here pretty soon.
And then one more got to ask you about is Dean Balo, a 6'3" guard. And I don't think I wrote this down. What year is Dean Balo, Jimmy?
Dean is a freshman as well.
He's a freshman. That's unbelievable. So 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. he's shooting 414 from three and has
Yeah.
knocked down 29 of them. So Christian Green and Dean Balo both, that's pretty, that's incredible. Talk a little bit about Dean Balo.
Yeah, Dean is again another guy that he is from Richardson, so went to JJ Pierce, was a prolific scorer there in that district, which is really tough with Lake Highlands and Jesuit and
Yeah.
Richardson and all of those schools. And some of his favorite highlights are against Keaton Wallace, playing against him in
Wow.
the district. But Dean's a unique story in that he was also a really good baseball player. And so he would always transition straight from basketball to baseball. And again, kind of flew, I think, under the radar a little bit because he played a lot of baseball during the summers, but always wanted to play basketball in college. And we are fortunate enough to find him early and get him on campus. And he really just, again, liked all that the school has to offer in the program, and knew he was going to be able to come in and score the ball. And he has done that and more for us this year. So, yeah, I mean, to have those three guys, shooting 39+% from three it's difficult for people. They got to kind of pick their poison if
Right.
they're going to help on in our inside game and our drives, or try to stay close to those guys. But Dean's just really steady. I mean, the moment never looks too big for him. He wants to be in the game and take the big shots, and he's made some really big ones for us this year. In that Pomona game, it gets overshadowed because Harvey made 9, but he made 5. So
Wow.
those guys combined for 14 in that game. So yeah, it's nice to have 2 freshmen in your top 4 scoring, and we have a couple other freshmen that aren't getting as many minutes. One who's injured and one who's playing a little bit more that can also really go. So we're super excited about the freshman class.
By the way, before I ask you a little more about kind of the team and style, one thing that just came to my mind was that Dallas game. You guys had a fantastic crowd there, and I know you've got a couple kids that are from the DFW area, but I'm guessing that group probably travels around with you quite a bit from what it looked like to me. Is that they all look like a group that's been at it just about every game. Talk about kind of that crew of people that follow you from game to game.
Absolutely. Our family and friends are just incredible. Like they don't miss, and they're kind of they got a routine now. Wherever we're at, they're gonna meet prior and come to the game, and be loud, and that's been awesome. And then just alums, also as we've continued to be able to network and do alumni events and have people out have
Sure.
started to get more involved as well. And we have a pretty good alumni network there in Dallas. And so yeah, it was just a great turnout there. And really, but yeah, everywhere we've been has been a lot of fun. So Dallas can be a really tough place to play with their, environment and the
Yeah.
gym get really loud. So I was happy that we at least could could rival them in our noise level.
Yeah, you guys, I believe you had them at least 50-50 somewhere in there. You might have been 60-40. It is a tough place to play. I've been to a lot of games. It's 18 minutes from me, and so I go to games there, and it can be a quirky place to play for sure.
Yep. Sure.
I want to ask you about your zone defense. It's always interesting to me, like when you have a team that plays zone and that's like who they are and their identity, it always looks so much better than a team that just goes into a zone. Like I'll be watching my team, Illinois Wesleyan, and all of a sudden we're in a zone, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know how this is going to go. Whereas like watching you guys or like Nebraska Wesleyan or on the Division 1 level, like what Jim Boeheim is, does at Syracuse. Um, Talk a little bit, if you would, about how you got to playing zone, why zone, and just I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. So as a player and a coach, like always had been like a staunch man-to-man guy. Never really played a ton of zone. Like you're saying, if we did, we're kind of like, what are we doing? It seems like we always gave up a 3 right away or
Yep.
whatever. And so, in the SCAC, it's unique because we play most of our conference games are back to back. They're typically Friday, Saturday. We have a couple Friday, Sundays,
Yeah.
but so my thought was like, you know what? So this was year 2. So the COVID first year we played nothing but man. And then year 2 was like, I want to have a zone that we're good at. So we decided to put the zone in first. And, it was working pretty well. Our non-conference, we had a lot of like back to back. So we played pretty much nothing but zone. And the plan was Christmas break, we were going to revisit our man stuff, because we had pretty much everyone back from the first year. So
Sure.
at least kind of know what we were doing. And then literally our entire team got COVID over the Christmas break. So
Mm,
we got shut down for almost 2 weeks, and we didn't have time. We didn't have time to work on man. So we stuck with the zone and just kind of went all in on it that year. And that was the year I think we finished 23-6. We made it to the NCAA tournament. We beat a good Whitworth team year
yeah,
one, and lost to a really good Mary Hardin Baylor team in round two, and had really that whole team returning. And so it was like, why change it? Let's double down. And so it's just evolved from there. We've added some different wrinkles. We've added a lot of different things that we can do out of it now and have some different looks. And, we have run multiple zones now just to keep people
sure.
off balance. But yeah, really it just kind of started as like, let's do it first, because if we start with man, we're never going to get good at zone, because we're always
Right.
working on
Right.
man stuff. And then just the way circumstances played out, that's where we got to. And, now we can recruit towards it a little bit more, knowing that that's our identity. And, it's funny because now our guys will be like, let's go man. And I'm worried about going man now, where I used to be
Right.
worried about going zone. So it's the exact opposite.
It really is. It's a good zone. It's like to me, a bad zone is where, like, the other team pass, wide open three. It either goes in or it doesn't, but it's wide. Like your zone, you guys recover so well. You don't give up a ton of wide open shots, which is impressive. Your opponents are only shooting 40%, 0.401, and you're giving up 67 a game. So it's working, right? I mean, when you look at holding opponents to 0.401, you got to feel like if you were playing great man to man, you would take 0.401 any day of the week, right?
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's the goal always, right? Is 40% or below. So we're right there.
By the way, do we have any kind of score update? I'm wondering from this, do we have a refresh button we can hit or something there?
See
Because
what we got going on.
that's a big one right there.
73-71 St. Thomas. It looks like maybe, yeah, they got a steal. So it looks like St. Thomas ball up two with 11 seconds to go. So
Wow, wow,
yeah,
wow. Yeah, that I mean, look, let's just call it what it is. If St. Thomas were to drop that one, that would be a big thing. But looks like
sure.
they're going to remain 2 games back in the loss
Mhm.
column. They're a really good team. Um, just a couple other things to ask you. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the d3hoops.com guys. That tournament you played in Las Vegas, I think it's the d3hoops.com Classic.
Yeah.
Watched both of your games out there. Um, talk about the experience of playing in that tournament, as I know they're always looking for other great programs to come out there on the men's and women's side to play. So what was it like playing there at the South Point Arena and in that tournament?
It was, I mean, exceeded every expectation that I had. It was so much fun. The venue was perfect, with the South Point, and it was very organized, and just the quality of opponents that they gave us was, exactly what we were hoping for and needing. And our guys loved it. I mean, they're already like, hey, Coach, can we go back? Can we go back?
That's awesome.
Just not only to get to go out to Vegas, and it's a perfect venue to host it, but also just to be able to watch and see the other programs. Like we got to watch Case and Oswego and these other teams that you
Right.
always see and hear about, and you try to watch their live streams, but you never would ever get to see them live unless you
Yeah.
something like that. So it was phenomenal, and a lot of credit to those guys, and like being flexible. And we had some different matchups, and we really wanted to go out there because we thought we were going to be pretty good, and they moved some things around for us to get the games that we were hoping to get. And so I think that's probably the part that's underrated, is how hard they work to try to please everyone, because everyone wants something
Sure.
different to go out there. And I thought this year they did it to where everybody was happy. And I would encourage anybody to go out there that can, because there's very few opportunities within Division III to play true neutral games
Right.
against quality opponents. I would say it's one of the few that you can actually do that. So it was great.
In your second game, you played great against Pomona Pitzer. You won that game by 21 points, which really surprised me because that's a good team. Coming
Yeah.
into it, we knew they were a good team. Clark game was an amazing finish. I can't remember who hit the shot. Someone like left wing, some guy. I think he came off a screen, caught it, and shot it. Like, who was that knocked down the shot against Clark?
That was Jacob Harvey.
Yeah, unbelievable finish to that game. Clark's a good team. They've had a good season. So you come out of there 2-0. And I'm just curious how much, Jimmy, you follow the Region 10 picture. As you know, unfortunately, the Region 10 is kind of this region where you've got all these island teams,
Yeah.
like the Texas group, Southern California, the Northwest. You guys right now would seem to be a pretty safe number one in Region 10. I think you've got you have a 952 winning percentage, 528 SOS, wins over Pomona Pitzer, Hardin Simmons, Clark, Whitman, and I'm missing somebody there. I think there's another.
Claremont. We got Claremont.
Yeah, CMS early, really early. Right, exactly. So how much do you follow regional rankings and all that stuff? Some people look at it a lot. Some people are like, just tell me where I am at the end.
Yeah, I look at it a ton. I'll be honest with you. Probably like my first thing in the morning once I get up is I look at like D3 Datacast and
Nice.
I see and just kind of see what things look like. I was fortunate at when I was at Texas Lutheran and also Millsaps to be a part of the regional committee. And so or the RAC. So I really
Sure.
learned a lot just about how it worked. And this year we really did the best we could to try to play not only as best of a non-conference schedule as we can, but also to try to play some Region 10 opponents that we thought,
Right.
we're going to be up towards the top again. You never know, but just traditionally good programs like Whitman and Claremont and Pomona, just to see where it's at because it's so hard to compare us. And so, you play those games and if you win them, you put yourself in a good spot. And if you don't, and you got to win your conference tournament anyway. So that was, as our strategy each year. And, we were fortunate to get those games this year, along with like Washington Lee and University of Chicago. And
yeah.
some of these programs that traditionally are good in these really good leagues. And, but I follow it a lot. I have aspirations at some point. It may never happen of, doing like, being on the national committee or, something like that. I would love to be a part of it because I just love the data and the numbers and, all the stuff that goes into it. It's just, it really is interesting to me.
That's awesome. And shout out to the D3 Datacast guys. I believe their episode tomorrow will be where they project the regionally ranked teams in all 10 regions in advance of the first ranking coming out on Tuesday. So tune into those guys like Coach Smith does every morning. Checks out Datacast. I do too. I pull that stuff up every day to figure out where things stand in Region 8, my region.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, your schedule's great, Jimmy. Yeah, the way you guys put it together, it's almost perfect when you look at the quality of teams that you have played, both, like a national team like Clark, but then teams that are in your region, the Pomona Pitzers and the Hardin Simmons and the CMSs and Whitmans. Really, really great schedule. And like you said, you can draw people. Like I know that Illinois Wesleyan has come to Trinity to play in a tournament a few times over the years, right? So you can get teams like Chicago to come down and play there because San Antonio is a fantastic place to go in December, right?
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask you this. Did you come down here when the Illinois Wesleyan played the last time?
What year was that? I think I've been
I was at Texas Lutheran. We played them. So we lost a close game to Illinois Wesleyan when I was at TOU, and then we beat Alma,
Yes.
who ended up going to the Elite Eight that year.
Yeah, we had I think we had like Colin Bennett in that group.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I was at
Coach's son was on the team.
Brady Rose. That was the Brady Rose era. You're
Yeah.
right. So I did not connect the fact that the Titans played against the Jimmy Smith coach team at that tournament. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was here. So, and my assistant was an All-American for us guard, and he played really well in that game, even though we didn't win. So,
yeah. I was down there, and then we also, I think we had a group that played down there during like Pat Cunningham when he really had it rolling, and we had Keelan Miljanovich and Adam Douches and Zach Freeman and that group that went to the Final Four. So Trinity's a great place for people to go play, in December around the holidays, and I think you're gonna have no trouble getting great programs to come see you. Just kind of final thoughts a little bit on your end on what the rest of the schedule. Now we started here. I want to finish here is you have a very tough stretch. You're up 2 games on St. Thomas, but you go to Schreiner, you have Colorado College at home. You have to go to Houston to play St. Thomas, and you have Centenary. That's the top of the league behind you. So how do you look at this rest of the season here in February?
Yeah, it's hard not to, look at the full picture of what you have in front of you. I think for us, we're really just trying to focus on Schreiner. I mean, they, clipped us by 2 in the conference championship last
Oh,
year,
yeah.
which was tough to take. And then we had a really close game with them here. We played them like right when we got back from Vegas on January 2nd. And so we know that they're a high quality opponent. And so it's a tough place to play over there. So just trying to stay focused on that one. And then we have a little bit of time and scheduling quirk with kind of how our league works. We have Colorado Sunday. So a little more time to prepare for that one and then just kind of reevaluate. And our conference tournament this year is actually in Shreveport. So we're going to be there 2 weekends in a row. But the way our league works is the top 2 get buys. And so that's, 6 make it. So
Right.
that's huge, but just trying to focus on that. It's hard, like we talked about, to not look at rankings and where could you be regionally and all that, but just like, this is what we need to do to put ourselves in the best position to win the conference tournament, and take all of the other stuff out of it. And so we know we got to get these games to put ourselves in that spot. And I know it sounds like coach talk, but really that's it, is like we can't afford anything else but to focus on Schreiner right now. And then
Right.
after that one's over, turn the page.
Well, and I forgot about that. The way the conference tournament ended last year, the Schreiner game, was that a Sunday game? I want to say that was a Sunday game, right? I remember that I had like my bracketology and I got people in brackets and I'm watching your game and want to say that it was tied with like 3 seconds left. Like
Yep.
three free throws with 2 or 3 seconds left decided that thing. I want to say, is that possibly correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had a 3 that we missed with
Right.
like 35 seconds, and then they came down and was a foul called with like 3 seconds left. They
Yep.
made 2 free throws, and then we actually got it to half court, got a timeout, and got a pretty clean look from the top of the key to win it, and just didn't fall. But it was a great game. They were really good, and they gave Mary Hardin Baylor a really great
They
game
did.
tournament, and they have a lot of the same guys back. I mean, they're virtually the same team minus 1 or 2 guys, so they're still really, really talented and well coached. So it's become kind of a rivalry. We're not too far away from each other, and
Right.
they travel really well to our place, and we do the same to theirs. So it'll be a fun atmosphere on Tuesday night.
And the good thing is this year you're set up to really be in a great pool C shape. There's still a lot more games, but right now you're sitting in a really great place in the at large world. We talked about you're probably the number 1 team in Region 10, even though we won't know it because it's an alphabetical ranking Tuesday. But a week from Tuesday, I think that's what it'll say. I really appreciate your time, Jimmy. This has been a lot of fun and really huge kudos on what you guys are doing, sitting here 20-1 and 11-1 in the league, and what you're building, especially most importantly, like what you're building there. Trinity's awesome. I'll kick it to you for any final thoughts you'll have. Trinity fans tuning in, D3 fans, what would you leave everyone with here today?
I think the biggest thing is I think it's happened here, and you guys are doing a great job of just promoting the level and how good it is. And I mean, like literally, we're going to watch film on Schreiner before practice today, but we popped on the NYU Emory game just because it was about to be over, and we
Right.
watched into that one, which was crazy. But there's just such good basketball across the country, and so many good coaches and programs, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's great to be in the mix and be talked about and all of that stuff. But in general, just to see how the level has progressed from a player, I joke, but I'm kind of serious about, I don't know if I could play on a roster in 2004 like I did in, 2000, 2004, just to see how much better it's gotten. And so, that would be my thing, is just encouraging as many people to watch and, like you did, come to games and when it's in your area, and celebrate these student athletes for all they're doing, because they're dealing with a lot of stress and a lot more than people realize with,
Right.
the academics are tough at most of these schools, and, they're trying to balance all of this and then also to perform the way they are. So just a thanks, because I know yourself and a lot of people are putting a lot of time into helping promote the level and these programs and these teams and kids. And so that stuff does not go unnoticed. So just really appreciate it.
Well, much appreciated. I know that all of us are involved that are involved in this really enjoy doing it. That's why we do it. We're passionate about this. So really appreciate your time. And folks, that's Jimmy Smith, the head coach of Trinity of Texas in San Antonio. They're 20-1, trying to win a conference championship in the SCAC. They play February 6th at Schreiner after being off about a week and a half here. So that's a big one. for them as they try to go down the stretch run here. Jimmy, thank you so much, and I will see you in a gym before this season's over. I promise you.
I love it. Awesome. I look forward to seeing you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jimmy.